Hello and welcome to a Thursday edition of the Managing Madrid podcast for our patrons. It's Mailbag Day. Mailbag is back, baby. And it just feels like Lucas, you and I missed our bonus podcast earlier this week. I guess life just got in the way, but we're here. I missed you, man. It's been a week since we've spoken, so it's nice to have you back. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Using this break, it's a bank holiday here in Spain also, so using this break to recharge the battery some and ahead of what's going to be a more intense knockout stages in the World Cup, I hope.
Well, it's kind of the Endrick mailbag, and
yeah,
I guess like there was always a question: would we sign anyone in the winter? And we were probably like, nah, probably not. I don't know if this counts because it's more like 2 years away, but it's something that can be made official now to give us something to talk about. So we're gonna naturally the questions that came in for this week's mailbag were mostly about Endrick, so we're probably gonna just focus on that. Thanks to everybody who submitted their questions over on Discord. As you know, we have a Discord server now. You can submit your questions directly through Discord. If you hate Discord and you don't like it, you don't want to join it, that's okay. You can submit your questions through Patreon still. Just send us a direct message. We won't hate you for that. We still love you. It's just Discord. We just open it up as a cool option because it's also a chat with other Madridistas. And if you don't know much about it, I think you'll actually really enjoy it once you get in on it. So go over to Discord and submit your questions under the patron questions section of the Managing Madrid Discord server. So, Lucas, you ready to talk about Endrick?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Patrick Odayafati says, hi, Kiyan and Lucas. I hope you're both doing well. Obviously, missing out on Neymar has caused a trickle-down effect to never miss out on a Brazilian talent again. Although this is a ton of money for a 16-year-old if he succeeds in Madrid, and that's a big if, Madrid will have a stranglehold on the Brazilian market. All the young top talents in Brazil will put Madrid at the top of the top of their list of dream clubs because their idols will have be playing for us. Are you guys content with this strategy? What are the pros and cons for you? If you're ever going to gamble on big talents, might as well make sure they're Brazilians with a laugh emoji. Your thoughts, Lucas?
First of all, I don't think missing out on Neymar turned out to be all that bad for Real Madrid, all things considered. I don't think Neymar quite reached the potential we all envisioned for him. Obviously, he turned out to be a top 3 player in the world, that's for sure. But he wasn't. Don't misinterpret my words. He was a great player, but not really transcendent in the sense that he never led a team by himself towards a Champions League title. He was always Messi's second weapon, if you will. He never, and then left to join PSG, which was quite a soft move, in my opinion, as during his peak as a player still. So that's one. About the Hendrick move, which is what Patrick wants us to talk about, I'm not a big fan of the fee. I get the strategy of investing big money on young talent like we did with Rodrigo, Vinicius, and Reinier in the past. We can probably also qualify Militao as one of those, considering his age and all that, but obviously he was a bit more proven than those because of the fact that he had played with Porto one full season already. To me, I don't know, spending 45, 50 million makes sense. 70 is a bit too much of a reach in this case, in my opinion. He has only played 14 games as a professional football player in elite Brazilian football. Obviously, that's a big change. Elite Brazilian football is a big change compared to elite European football in terms of the intensity of the game and all that. So I'm not entirely sure of the sample size we have with Hendrick. Make sure that I'm comfortable with those 70 million spent. It's a bit too much in my opinion. I get that other clubs were also interested in him, and obviously once you enter this kind of race or bidding war, you need to put your money where your mouth is. And Real Madrid saw enough from Endrick during those 14 games plus the other games he played in the youth divisions of Brazilian football to make sure they're comfortable with that fee. But in my opinion, it was a bit too much of a fee for me. I would have and get Matt, our staff member Matt, tweeted the other day that with inflation going on and in the world in general and all that, this is pretty much the same fee Real Madrid paid for Vinicius and Rodrigo, and I get that, but on the other hand, you spend twice as much as you're spending on Endrick right now, and you probably get Haaland in 2024. So this and it's clear to me that Haaland is much better than twice as good as Endrick right now. So this is my main point. I would only spend 70 million on players who have a background in being great in elite football, and Hendrick just doesn't have that background still.
To be clear, Haaland is not just 2 times as good as Endrick. He is one of the best strikers of this generation.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Exactly.
And Endrick maybe one day will be breaking records in one of the GOATs or not. We don't know the answer to this.
Exactly.
Going back to your point about Neymar, and I mean, like, the thing is, of all the players we missed out on in the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 9, 10 years, it's hard to say like how bad it was to miss out on said player, because we won 3 European titles in a row, 4 and 5. And so, we didn't have Neymar, but we also had BBC. We had some great players coming in and out of the team and help when we had a dynasty. And also the trick with Neymar is that he was a left winger where Cristiano Ronaldo played, and you just don't really know how that dynamic would work out. Maybe they would shoehorn him and Ronaldo together. You would never get the Benzema-Ronaldo partnership. All these questions and what ifs, and maybe you win 5 out of 5 Champions League titles. Maybe you don't win the 4 out of 5. I don't know. But we lost out on a lot of great players, but still won a bunch of trophies. So I don't know. But having said that, I'm a huge Neymar fan. I really like his game. I was terrified when I saw Real Madrid versus PSG in person on a couple of occasions, seeing him running at the defensive line. He's an incredible player, incredible talent. I like him. But the question really is, how much should Florentino losing out on him? To be clear, for good reasons that were not his fault. And turns out the deal with Barca was extremely shady. It went to court, and Florentino is not going to get into that illegal side of signing a player. So it's not like you blame Florentino for missing out on him, but he did see that and was like, okay, well, I'm going to work closely with Juni Calafat. Incredible assessment of talent that he has. And we've really, really signed some really good players under his reign. And as was the case in our discussion on Twitter, some have not been so good, like Reinier Jesus. What I said to you on Twitter was that I'm okay with getting someone like Reinier Jesus getting that wrong, because we all know that not all of these signings are going to be 100%. Like it's not like perfect darts right in the center. Some of them you're going to miss. That's okay. You accept that, because some of them are just going to be absolute home runs, like Vinicius, superstar. You don't need to sign a left winger anymore. That was a big concern about Cristiano Ronaldo leaving. You have your left winger for a long time. Rodrigo hasn't reached that transcendent level yet, but he's awesome. You take him in the squad 10 times out of 10. The price of Endrick to me is like, I don't, call me crazy, but I don't think it's that much. It's a lot for someone we haven't seen play and he's 16 years old. I get that. I get that aspect of it. But given the fact that we've seen that this player could literally be 140 million in 2, 3, 4 years, could be, I'm going to emphasize could be, it's not that much. And the other thing that you said about Haaland is like you pay double, you get him. But the other thing you're forgetting is this: Haaland's salary is astronomical.
Sure.
And I think that's part of it too.
Kiyan, we keep comparing Hendrick and the likes of Vinicius and Rodrigo with Neymar, who had already won the Libertadores before he left Brazil. And we're comparing these kids who have played a handful. Look, as you mentioned, obviously Rodrigo and Vinicius turned out to be very good business moves from Real Madrid, also from a sporting perspective. But it's unfair to compare Santos Neymar to these moves Real Madrid made in Brazil over the last 5-6 seasons, just because Neymar was miles away more proven than the likes of Vinicius, Rodrigo, Reinier, and definitely more proven than Endrick.
I agree.
That's certainty, and I just want to point out that to me it's a bit too much, because we can talk about the odds of the transfer or the signing going wrong, and we can discuss how likely it is that it goes the wrong way or it turns out to be good. But there's one certain thing, and that certain thing is that there's no such thing as certainty in this move. Like, it's completely unknown how he's going to pan out. Obviously, he seems to have all the tools to succeed, but it's not that we haven't seen him play. It's the fact that Juni Calafat has only seen him play for 14 games on a professional level, assuming he's watched every single match of him, which I assume he has, and obviously the matches as a academy player for Palmeiras. It's just a very small sample size for me to be comfortable with a 70 million price tag. I get that obviously Haaland would be quite more expensive, but on the other hand, there's no thing of certainty about Haaland being a success in Real Madrid either. We've seen this with Hazard and other marquee players like James or things like that going wrong in Madrid. Like, even a signing like Haaland could go the wrong way for Real Madrid. But I think we can all agree that signing Haaland is much closer to being a certain success than signing a 16-year-old Endrick, who we don't even know the kind of player he's going to be in 2 years' time. Plus, I also want to discuss the thing that, Kiyan, this move really doesn't move the needle much for Real Madrid in a squad building perspective in 2 years' time. Like, Real Madrid are still going to need someone to replace Benzema in 2 years' time. Like, you cannot expect Hendrick to be the starting forward for Real Madrid in his first season in Spanish football when he's 18 years old. Like, Real Madrid are still going to need a quality striker, because I don't expect Benzema to be that guy in 2 years' time. So in terms of how Real Madrid are going to build their squad in 2, 3, 4 years and how they're going to replace Benzema, this move really doesn't move the needle as much as some people seem to think, in my opinion.
How much it moves the needle is unknown to me. And like, I agree that, like, it sounds crazy that, like, in 2024 your best striker in club history, or like top 2-3 striker in club history, will leave, and then the guy who comes in is an 18-year-old who's never played in Europe before. That is crazy to me. That is. And for that reason, I don't think he'll be the only striker in 2024. I don't think it's like Endrick and Haaland, but as I reported today on Twitter, according to my sources, the club never promised Endrick in these negotiations that we're not going to try to sign Haaland or another striker if you come. If you become as good as Vinicius, basically, we don't need to sign a left winger anymore because Vinicius is great. If you become that good, the only striker we'll sign is a backup striker. But I imagine they're going to have Endrick plus someone else just in case, or Rodrigo is so good at false nine that they have that cushion and safety net in 2024. I don't know how that looks like. That's 2 years away. But I do think this also, to me, comes back to the question of how much do you trust Juni Calafat, to be honest.
Yeah.
I remember when we signed Vinicius and Rodrigo, even they who were a little bit more known, it's an extremely small sample size.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, with all due respect, even if it's a really big sample size in Brazil, you still don't know how that would translate to Europe, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
and it's, but I also don't like, the thing is, I don't know how much that statement is also offensive to Brazilian football, you know? Like maybe Brazilian football is also really good and we're just underrating it. Like this is the debate. Remember when Luka Doncic was going in the draft? Everyone was like, oh, we don't know. He's playing in Spain and EuroLeague. He's not playing college, but they didn't know that EuroLeague is a higher level than college, you know, and it's like actually was pros. So I'm not going to sit here and say like Brazilian league, like it's no, because the thing, when I went and watched film of Vinicius Rodrigo after we signed him for the scouting report, what I noted was like, these guys are incredible dribblers. How will that translate into Spain when you have less space to work with? It turns out that actually becomes a really big asset because you need line breakers to break the space. And so my hope with Endrick is that. And he's really, the thing with, I'll say with Endrick is just, again, watching film of him, not watching him that much in the flesh or anything, is that he's extremely strong for his age. He's throwing older people around, and that's a good sign to me. And I guess it comes down to like, maybe call me naive. It's blind faith. I don't know. But if I'm running the club and Juni Calafat, who has this track record, comes to me and is like, hey, I'm an expert. I'm a professional. I just watched this kid. He blew my mind. I think we should sign him. I think he's going to be a little bit expensive now and raw and unproven, but I think his price is going to be like double in 2 years. And we're not going to be able to compete with PSG and Manchester City to sign him when he gets that expensive. I think we should get him now. I think I would be like, okay, sure. I think I would like literally accept that because I trust him. So it's a little bit, I'm not saying Juni Calafat is infallible, some kind of divine messenger, but I'm saying like, I think he's earned the trust at least.